Right. So next up is the panel on wallets, the future of Bitcoin Cash wallets. So on the stream so far, Corbin Fraser of Bitcoin.com, Matias, Alejo Garcia of BitPay, Romit of Zapit, Shammah Chancellor of StampChat. Let's see, I'm going to promote Tobias Ruck of Be.cash to the panel. Oh, and Paul Puey is in here as well of Edge.app.
Hello, guys. Nice seeing you all.
All right. So,
Hello, everyone.
and Baudoin Collard of Satochip. And Kousha of BCH Ghana is going to moderate. Okay, well, let's get it started. Maybe you can pick up from me in a couple minutes. So, Tobias, in your estimation, what is a Bitcoin Cash wallet? What makes a Bitcoin Cash wallet? What do you need to be a good Bitcoin Cash wallet? And I'll turn it over to you, Kousha, for further moderation.
Yeah, so I think we kind of need to let go of the wallet idea because people aren't used to wallets. Like, if I think of a normal user, like a normal average Joe, then he, like, if you ask him, oh yeah, what do you think about a wallet? Then he'll like talk about the different like kind of leather and stuff, but not like some kind of program or something. What people are used to when you talk about digital money, they are used to accounts. They are used to going to a counter. They have their identity linked to some account, and they can they can use that. Obviously, we can't link stuff to their identity because the blockchain doesn't know about like Tobias Ruck. It's just a random number, but we can still get very close to that, I think. So what Be.cash is building is actually to move closer to this kind of account model where like you have this thing, I like it from a technical perspective, is like, okay, you have this UTXO or UTXO set on the blockchain, and you basically, if you have a phone, you connect to that UTXO, which can be done with some like key sharing, signing and stuff. But from the user's perspective, he just sets up an account, for example, Be.cash account. He puts in data that, like, we're still deciding on that, like what we will actually do. But I think there's feedback again. Anyway, yeah, and then like he can connect another. Yeah, I think Matias, you're having feedback. Can you mute yourself? Yeah, thank you. So. Yeah, there will be this kind of account model where you can then like log in with your, for example, with phone, similar to what we are used to in WhatsApp Web, for example. You just scan a QR code and it'll connect you on your computer. You can spend money there. It'll all work seamlessly, and I think this is more what like people are used to. And I think everything we should do from here, like now on, to get the average Joe on board is to like get him where he's at, like what is his concept of digital money, whether decentralized or not, and model our system after that. And then over time, we might, steer it into a different direction, but we need to take the users where they're at. And I think we can do it in a non-custodial way.
Yeah, that's surely something I would say as well, or think as well. But the user base is vast, so I wouldn't say that wallets are not are absolutely new for something like I would say in Japan something like that is pretty natural for them to use a wallet, or people using the word wallet even for just conventional applications. I always thought wallet was just BCH itself. So I would say there is still place for the conventional wallet, BCH wallet or Bitcoin idea, and the investment wallet or anything. So maybe someone from the normal wallets can say something about how they want to have a value proposition or something that catches them, even though it's not in their own, at the place, like Tobias says. Maybe Corbin from Bitcoin.com.
Yeah, happy to chime in. So I think, what our goal is just to attract the next million users. We are ultimately trying to support the Bitcoin Cash community, but I think something most wallet developers really need to consider is how are they positioning their wallet to be a business. I think we're seeing a lot of ongoing funding issues in this space, and wallets are one of the few things that can potentially receive funding, but I think at the end of the day need to stand on their own 2 feet. And in order to do that, you need to be able to attract a mass amount of users. So what we are constantly trying to focus on is just creating the simplest user experience for users to just come into Bitcoin, the fastest on-ramp, fastest off-ramp, providing users the ability to buy, sell, spend, trade, and invest in Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and ultimately nudge people in a more gentle way than I think Bitcoin Cash has typically done in the past 3 years. I think, we've often seen the approach of just telling people to just use Bitcoin Cash, but it is kind of a gradual process in that user journey for the average user to learn. Most of them are going to learn about Bitcoin first. So I think actually one of the interesting things that a lot of Bitcoin Cash wallets could potentially do, and it's probably controversial on Bitcoin Cash Day, is actually support more cryptocurrencies to open up that funnel, and particularly Bitcoin. I think one of the easiest ways to onboard a user is just to get them to use BTC. As soon as they use BTC and realize fees are $2 to $5, it's a pretty easy, this kind of makes sense, why I would want to use the alternative version, which is still underperforming. Now, granted, that does create more technical overhead for wallet developers, but considering that there's a shared history on BTC and BCH, it's not quite as big as supporting alternative currencies like Ethereum or Tezos or something like that. But I think what we really try to focus on, particularly at Bitcoin.com, is just onboarding users in as gentle a way as possible in order to get them to purchase their first Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, allow them to use it, allow them to spend it somewhere, find somewhere where they can actually do something. Some of the key metrics that we really focus on in the wallet, aren't just wallets created and things like that. Those are kind of nice vanity metrics, but they're not really metrics that help the user. What we're trying to do is, finding out what the daily active senders are, the daily active receivers are, how many transactions are wallets creating, how many transactions are people performing on the network, which network is performing best in terms of total number of transactions per day. So I think, when we approach the question of what is a good wallet, or what is a wallet for the user, to me, it's similar to what Tobias said. It's an account. I think it's also needs to be both, it needs to be both this account, but it also needs to be a bit of an education tool, because the majority of these new users, the next million users, they don't know the difference between Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum. All they know is there's this, magic internet money that I've heard I should invest in, or I've heard that I can maybe spend it down the street. I want to try it out. And I think, being able to find out what your users' personas are, I think is really an important step as well. Is your wallet gearing towards, the hardcore Bitcoin Cash enthusiast? If so, that's great, but you do have to realize that you're restricting yourself to a limited number of users. The number of users that you're potentially, if you're trying to go after profit and mass adoption, you do need to kind of look after, the ordinary user who's totally brand new to the space. And that's kind of always something we're trying to put our shoes back into. Anytime we're building something, we're saying, how many users is this going to help? Is this something that the Bitcoin Cash community will love and Reddit will say, you guys are kicking butt? Or is this something that, is maybe just a big resource hog and might be only used by 200 nerds? So it's
sorry to cut you off there. Sorry to cut you off there. We have to be a bit quick. But I agree on the last question on the question about what users do you have, and I think the wallets also fundamentally also are investment wallets and not payment wallets. You know, like asset wallets where you can look up your asset, and often the payments get lost, and especially going to multi-coin wallets. But before we're going to multi-coin wallets, I just wanted to ask Romit what he says as some kind of hybrid between the conventional normal use service plus Bitcoin Cash on top or under it, actually. You're muted. Unmute.
Thanks,
Okay.
thank you. This is Romit from Zapit Wallet. You know, I mean, I think most of the world is focusing on the West or South, like South America or Africa, things like that. But we don't see a lot of adoption happening in India in terms of crypto, other than just exchanges or trading, right? We're talking about millions of merchants available just in one country with, you know, more than 1 billion people, and nobody is using crypto anywhere in payments. Mainly, it's not because, you know, there aren't good services. It's just that the traditional finance within India is so good, right? Most of the Indians can actually make bank transfers using the new payment interface that the entire infrastructure has set up for free and instant. Like if you actually make a Bitcoin Cash transaction and a regular bank transfer in India, it's not that much different, but it's actually free. So if you try to onboard a user from India to Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash, and they see a fee, they're like, why should we use this? There's already a fee, right? Upon that, most of the payment apps within India, they provide some sort of reward systems. Like if you make 20 transactions per day, you get this reward, something like that. So that's what we are looking at in Zapit. That's what we are looking at to tackle, because a regular wallet will not suffice in India. It just will not work. We have tried, there have been a lot of wallets that we have been trying to get adoption from. Nobody just wants to use that because there's no added value in that sense. So that's where we decided, okay, fine, let's just enable the traditional finance, but try to give rewards using the SLP tokens. One of the best ways that we can onboard is by giving tokens for every single transaction. In a way, we are ahead, like Zapit is ahead compared to other payment apps, because it's more like a random reward that other payment apps give. Not every single transaction, but we have surpassed that in a way where we are rewarding every single transaction. It doesn't matter whether a user who's using Zapit makes a payment to a merchant or to a user, right? They get a reward. So I guess reward-based systems within payment apps is one of the solutions that can bring more adoption, is more of a wallet than just being able to just transact. There has to be that added value. Of course,
Also, sorry, I
Sure. Okay.
But great, yeah. So I see Zapit as a gadget tool, something that really incorporates everything that you need. Your little Knight Rider or Batmobile thing that does everything, and is also
Swiss Army knife
if you want. Yeah. So let's go to the multi-coin wallets. What I'm actually asking myself, because payments is for BCH, it works well as long as you're in the BCH ecosystem, from one BCH wallet to the register app or anything. But the second I'm sending money to someone who has most certainly a multi-coin wallet, they're like, man, this takes so long. Why does it? Because we are waiting for confirmations and all of this. So I was always asking myself, what holds multi-coin wallets off, as I see many that do not accept or support implement zero-conf transactions? And is it some kind of philosophical, or is it a resources thing that you just don't have the time to work on that? So maybe is there actually a multi-coin wallet guy person who has something to say about this possible fix?
I can chime in.
Oh,
I can chime in. So Edge is a multi-coin wallet, and we
Yeah.
support BCH. We're one of the first to support BCH, as well as like splitting from BTC, to get your BCH out. I've been a big proponent of BCH and kind of what the ecosystem is trying to do. From the viewpoint of, like you had asked the question, the difficulty in using a multi-coin wallet with one that supports BCH and why it's fast or slow. supporting zero-conf actually can be a bit of a challenge, but we do support it, and we have from the very beginning. We've actually been very, very keen on crypto as payments, which is why we're aligned with BCH. And prior to Edge, the company was called Airbits, and we were a Bitcoin wallet, and it was really focused on payments. Even had a built-in merchant directory. People love that. But I know, as we saw, and much to what other folks were saying, such as Romit, the traditional payment system is hard to beat, especially in a lot of countries. And some, sure, BCH is fast, simple, and easier than having to deal with cash in very cash-based economies. But in most countries, the traditional payment system is actually pretty good, and a lot of people have access to it. Rewards are a way to get people using crypto. The challenge, I think, with most traditional payment systems is the rewards also give up information about the user. And that's actually the value to merchants in adopting a payment system. And both the merchant and the consumer is giving up information about the user that now the payment system and the merchant can have in exchange for the reward that goes back to the user, which is a little tough. I'm waiting for someone to kind of solve that problem in the crypto space. But going back to multi-coin wallets and why they exist, we realize that there isn't a lot of certainty around what crypto is going to be, the payment system crypto, the smart contract crypto, or what I don't think it really is a good definitive need or a store of value crypto. I think all cryptos can be store of value. You just need to have good use in some other way, which is why we support multiple. And really, the on-ramping is what we found a lot of people are still in need of. Just still less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin Cash. We got to get those people on board. So connecting with many different exchanges around the world is what we do, at like 8 different exchanges with many different payment methods. I think that's kind of our first goal. And while we wish we could kind of really tailor a UI around really fast, simple payments, we've graciously said, we're going to let that be tackled by some other apps. And we're happy to even refer people to apps that are more focused around like merchant payments. And if I leave with one note, I think the focus and the struggle has to be to getting existent merchant processors, especially in the physical merchant space, to natively accept Bitcoin Cash, not as a separate side, tablet on the side, a phone on the side, but integrated right into the point of sale. And when you get that, then Bitcoin Cash payments start to feel invisible to the merchant and to all of their staff that normally has to get trained. Instead, they don't get trained. They just do what they normally do, and someone can use credit card or Bitcoin Cash. That, I think, is one of the key things to get it adopted, because early days were hard when you just had 2 systems you had to train people with. So I'm hoping to see progress on that front.
Oh, yeah, very nice. Thank you. I mean, a point of sale system sounds very good to me. I would love to see something like that. And one other thing was the BIP70 support that I wanted to ask. And it seems to be something very dynamic, something that really helps if you implement it, but it also again isn't implemented in each, which makes trouble in communicating, and maybe some wallet cannot even accept a payment or something. So is there anyone right about implementing it or planning on this, or why he wouldn't implement this? Because other reasons. And is there anything that maybe from the other wallets also, Francesco or Mellis, I wasn't able to. Yeah, Matias, do you have something to say about this?
Yeah, so regarding BIP70, we in BitPay push really hard for BIP70. We think it's a great protocol to push payments. It really simplifies the user experience when you're making a payment, not only because it provides details about what you are about to pay, and provides a signature from the merchant that you are about to pay, but also for other coins like BTC, it would recommend the fee that is critical for a coin like BTC. So we push that really hard, and I think it did a lot for the community, and especially for the ones that are interested of cryptocurrency as a payment method. Maybe if you see cryptocurrency as I don't know, sort of value or something like that, BIP70 is not important. But we push payments, of course, and I think that for payment, BIP70 is a great step forward.
I would acknowledge that
Yeah.
protocols like BIP70 are great. I'll give BitPay credit for at least moving towards the JSON payment protocol, which is much easier to implement. BIP70 being in the feedback of our developers a bit of a mess, and the buffers being a bit more challenging, requiring more resources. But the JSON payment protocol we've implemented, and we're happy with that as a specification.
Yeah, thank you.
We really followed your guys' lead on BitPay. So, I think we should really be thanking you guys for like laying a lot of that groundwork. I think Bitcoin.com, we were piggybacking off Copay for years, and I think your team was doing great work. So, I think, big thank you, I think, from the whole community for being able to continue to push, BIP70 and payments. So I think that's we're still focusing on BIP70, both in the Bitcoin.com wallet. We recently launched the Bitcoin Cash register, which now supports BIP70. Our reasoning for that primarily was to solve a couple issues. We had a lot of merchants that were running the Bitcoin Cash register in a couple different tablets in the same restaurant, and if they're all set up to the owner's wallet address, they both fire off at the same time if we're monitoring the same BIP21 address. So as soon as we set up BIP70, we're able to have a little bit of differentiation between those and being able to potentially do some interesting things with BIP70 using the multiple outputs. So we've talked internally as well as externally about potentially offering some rewards using BIP70 additional outputs. So users that are spending in merchant stores that are accepting might be able to receive an additional bonus, or the merchant may be able to receive an additional bonus in the form of an additional output. So I think there's a lot of stuff we can really do with BIP70, but I think that what Kousha is kind of saying is there's probably going to be some wallets that just simply aren't going to be able to use BIP70, which is a bit of a trade-off. Fortunately, most of the major wallets that are kind of focused on payments seem to be supporting BIP70, but there's always bound to be a few that aren't. So
yeah, it's a trade-off.
What's your thoughts?
But I would say I'm just realizing that you really need to push it on the I don't know, like in a practical sense. You cannot just ask people, because this is a topic of years ago. I remember years ago talking about BIP70 and how everyone has to accept it, and I also remember how BitPay got pushbacks a lot because implementing BIP70 alone, or for whatever reasons. So maybe some people just have to take the step and take the lead, and if others fall behind for what and because they don't follow, then so be it. It has to be at some point. Maybe we should really just just do it and see what happens. And it seems to have catch up. So there was probably a very good reason for that. Okay, but talking about BIP70 and about the communication between wallets, Shammah, is there anything that you with your Cashweb can actually do that helps or in a similar way like BIP70, as you were saying, because you were saying this is some kind of communication tool between wallets and for invoices and stuff? Is this supplementary, or is this kind of the new competition on town now that we all decided to use BIP70?
It's not meant to replace BIP70. In fact, actually Stamp and Cashweb use BIP70. So a lot of the infrastructure that we've developed for Stamp, all the Cashweb stuff, actually changes the middleware for our HTTP backends so that it returns a payment required. That's never been something that's really been used before. And as part of the payment required, we respond with a BIP70 payment request that tells you to go send some Bitcoin somewhere. And then in return, the payment server gives you a JWT token. And then you can use all these APIs. And I think that wallet developers should start using more things like that. These are things that you can't do with traditional payment systems. We should be focused on where cryptocurrency really stands out. And so all of the account registration, all the identity registration is all based around that. You just make a Bitcoin Cash payment from the wallet, you get a JWT token, you can use your endpoints. So you could have like Dropbox without having to give them your personal identity, without having to give them your credit card information, which necessarily reveals who you are. And then additionally, all the Cashweb infrastructure, a cryptocurrency is a digital payment network, but those payments go between people, and so it's not just a computer network protocol; it's actually a social network. And so we should enable all of the Bitcoin Cash users to talk to one another. And so that's another thing that Stamp's doing. But in addition to that, Bitcoin Cash is a UTXO-based system, so it's very hard for wallets to correspond. Like Corbin's, the Bitcoin.com wallet and the BitPay wallet used to allow you to do multi-sigs, but that required a bunch of specialized infrastructure in order for wallets to talk to one another to do the co-signing in a seamless way. And then you have FlipStarter with the EC plugin. If you want to execute these smart contracts, you got to go in there. It gives you a base64 payload. You got to go paste that somewhere. This is not a good user experience. And so the other stuff that Cashweb is focusing on is allowing wallets, even if they're offline, to do these interactive protocols. And that enables a lot of these more advanced features. And so one of the things that we're also going to do with Stamp is these protocols allow you to, provide a JavaScript API to a website, and they can, and then you can do these interactive protocols with the website itself. So one of the things that I'm planning to do is, say you go to the FlipStarter website, you can just click a button, and then it would make that appropriate transaction. And so in this way, it would allow DApps on Bitcoin Cash. I'm way less focused on merchant adoption and more in terms of digital payments, where I think cryptocurrency really stands out.
Yeah, sorry, I have to cut off you here. We have just a couple of minutes left. I just wanted to ask Baudoin for a second, because with the last question going to Baudoin, or the second last, what's next for your wallet? I actually wanted to ask anyone, but since Baudoin wasn't able to say something right now, I was thinking, what is next for your wallet? What is the convenience that you're trying to give with your hardware wallet? Because I'm also thinking about, okay, hardware wallets investment, or again, how can I pay with your hardware wallet? Let's say it this way. No.
Yeah, so we have a hardware wallet that is based on a smart card. And what we want to do with this kind of wallet is to have something that is secure and convenient. People want to have security. They don't want to lose their money. They have heard scary stories about people losing all their cryptos, but they want something easy to use. And I think this kind of hardware wallet based you see on smart card gives that kind of good trade-off between the two. So you can easily use them. It's a form factor that is known by everybody. Everybody is comfortable with credit card, with paying with such kind of cards. This is not a credit card, it's a hardware wallet, but you can connect it to your computer. People knows exactly where the funds are, and when they remove the card from the computer, their funds are safe. They are offline completely. You were talking about multi-currency wallets. This is also a kind of hybrid, because we can store Bitcoin Cash, like Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum on the same hardware wallet, but we use each time the dedicated software wallet as a client to interact with the card. So we have kind of the best of both worlds, because we use a dedicated app each time with the best up-to-date features for each wallet, because it's difficult for one wallet and a team of developers to keep track of every advancement in every cryptocurrency they support. But if you use the best software wallet with a hardware wallet like this, you can get that kind of multi-wallet support, multi-currency support. So I think the importance is to have security and convenience, and so that's
Satochip.
That's Satoshi.
I mean, I really have to.
Of course, a lot of different solutions, but that's one trade-off that we are proposing, and I think it's interesting.
Yes, it's great. Thank you. But one last question to wrap up, and because we are already over time a minute, for Francesco. And in this case, I want to pick your brain as an economist. And maybe even for everyone here to think about that, because I was thinking about infrastructure funding again, and I was thinking about for a long while now as a user who has just made some thoughts about it. Can we actually include a fee that goes to infrastructure devs if we want? You know, just if you pay 1/3 of a fee for the miners, why can't you pay 1/3 of the fee on top of that? 1/3 of a cent, sorry, on top of that to go to infra devs. So if we have the million users and if they all make 1,000 transactions or whatever they do per day, maybe there's something that can accumulate. So Francesco, is there anything, or would you say there is something technical or economical wrong with this idea?
No, I think that it's a good idea, and Mellis team is working on BCH environment because we think that it's a better environment to work with. And if you can offer to users, let us say, premium services, well, why not charge a small fees for that premium services? And yeah, we are also thinking about it. I think that the next big development in the BCH wallets will be in the link between the present time, because most of the people now think only to spend money in the present, and they don't think about the future. So the future will be theirs, and for this reason we are trying to connect the present to the future with our next core update. It will be legacy.
Okay, great, thank you. I think we have all the time we need. I mean, George, take over. And thank you all for your attendance.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Kousha, for moderating. Thank you, Paul Puey of Edge Wallet, Matias of BitPay, Corbin, Bitcoin.com, Romit, Tobias, Shammah, Francesco, and Baudoin. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.